I found a poll on mousesensitivity.com, and with over 1,400 votes, it's pretty clear that there's a sweet spot in mouse sensitivity for most people. The 30 to 45 centimeter range accounts for nearly half of all people that were polled, and my sensitivity falls within that range too, and that makes me Average Joe. But I've always wondered what it'd be like to be part of the 1%.
Hostiles are trying to seize one of our objectives. Support package available.
When you jumped into the shower this morning, did you think about how hot or cold the water was? Some people like to feel like they're being wrapped in a warm blanket. Other people like to feel they're back in 2014 with the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge.
For you, Floyd, if you could read one full page of a Harry Potter book, nigga, I'll give $750,000 to whatever charitable organization you want to. Fuck the bucket of ice, man.
And some people like to feel like they've been dumped in boiling water. When you did get into the shower, you probably didn't put much thought into how hot or cold you wanted the water. You just intuitively found what felt comfortable and went with it. And there is benefits to pushing that water temperature to either end of that scale. But is there a benefit to jumping into an ice bath every day?
Sounds like stairs again.
Yep. Stairs there. One arena maybe? But obviously this video isn't about me taking an ice bath every day. That would be a little bit ridiculous. I'm going to be increasing my sensitivity from 38 centimeters to 5 centimeters per 360. But we also need a benchmarking system and something to aim for. So here's where I introduce you to Voltaic and their benchmarking system for Kovaaks. To give you guys a Cliff Notes version on how this system actually works, it takes your score and compares you against all the other benchmark scores for the different ranks. There's 3 levels in each rank. Let's choose silver for our example. I need 1 silver score in each category to reach silver 1. For silver 2, I need 2 in each category. And to get to the top level in silver, silver complete, I need to get all 3 scores for each subcategory. I'm going to set a goal, but to find something appropriate, I think we need to start with a baseline. Easy, lads. Oh, one more. We tried, lads. I was actually really surprised with this as a first benchmark. There was obviously some weaknesses here, but it was almost all as I expected. Reactive tracking was the biggest standout. We saw air and ground plaza both hit gold in my first day. We also saw Sam TS and Vox TS both getting some really good scores, hitting silver on the first day. I always knew that clicking was going to be the most difficult category for me in this challenge. Some of these scenarios require so much precision that you just don't get on such a high sensitivity. That being said though, one of the biggest surprises for me was popcorn. It's one of those scenarios where I have a lot of trouble with even on my normal sensitivity because it just requires so much precision, but we actually saw it hit bronze, the highest score we saw out of the dynamic clicking subcategory today. Now for the bad ones. Bounce 180, Passu, Wide Wall 3 targets, and One Wall 4 targets small, all being unranked on day 1. While this was expected, it does confirm for me that I'm going to have to push really hard on these scenarios to get them up to snuff. So with the benchmark set, we can set a goal. I think anything below gold 1 will be settling for me. I think gold 2 is doable if I'm really on my game. I think I'm going to really push myself. I'm going to go for gold complete in just 2 weeks. I'll shoot him in his hands, I guess. This was a pretty big week. In total, we've grown from silver 1 to bronze 1 in just 5 days. First up, I want to point out ground plaza. While it has always been one of my better scenarios, I really didn't expect to see myself 1 point away from platinum within 5 days. Pasu scored doubles and finds itself ranking up to bronze. Wide wall 3 targets hit silver, but unfortunately we didn't see 6 fear hip 5 Voltaic see any improvement since day 1. Smoothbot saw a huge gain on day 5, shooting up nearly 200 points, which is very encouraging to see. Both Air Angelic and PGTI both ranking up to silver, with the former being 3/4 of the way to gold. Fugler XYZ saw a jump to gold, so I think we can completely rule out reactive tracking for week 2. Pat TS saw a bump of rank up to silver, with an increase of nearly 10 points over the 5 days. Some TS and Vox TS both ranking up to gold, severely narrowing the scenarios I need to focus on next week. Kin TS and Bounce 180T both seeing a rank up to silver, with Bounce 180T being a mere 2 points away from gold. It was at this point that I started to really feel the pressure in the clicking category. By this point, I had really hoped to see at least 2 scenarios in that category to silver, which means I've got a little over 7 days to push my mouse controller up nearly 2 entire ranks.
It's so rainy here.
It's horrendous.
Come here, you bastard.
Today was really good. My training over the weekend helped me achieve some really surprising scores, as well as clean up some scores that were severely lacking. Pasu is still being pretty difficult. Requiring so many different direction changes seems to be really throwing me off. Bounce 180 saw a jump from bronze to silver, with a nearly 10-point increase in my personal best. There were 2 big scores today. The first one of note was Pat TS, ranking up from silver to gold and rounding out speed target switching. The second was a giant surprise, PGTI, ranking up from silver to gold. The scenario that I thought that was going to be one of the more difficult ones was one of the first ones that I got in the precise tracking category. So today was pretty difficult for me. It was a pretty hot day, and it was quite difficult for me to actually concentrate on what I was doing. I don't think I saw any high scores, and I definitely didn't see any personal bests. And that was pretty tough for me mentally. I was so deep in this challenge, and I was really hoping to get that push right up to the end. The best I could hope for was a good night's sleep and come back with a fire lit under me tomorrow. Unfortunately, that fire wasn't lit. I sat down to stream and I was overwhelmed with nerves. I had a sinking feeling in my stomach and I had a real desire to not even continue with the challenge. The challenge was draining me. I think I overestimated how well I was going to do, as well as overestimated how much work was going to have to go into this. And it was really starting to test my endurance and my patience. At this point, I was still holding on dearly to my goal of reaching gold complete. But if I'm honest with myself, I didn't see it happening. So I think quietly and internally, I switched my goal from gold complete to gold 1. That's gotta be it. 78, holy shit, smashed it. Holy shit, that's flat. What? What? Yep, we skipped gold. And I breathed a huge sigh of relief. I managed to hit platinum on one of the most difficult subcategories for me in this challenge. And it was my first platinum score. We continued on and managed to hit gold on Bounce 180 tracking, bringing me 1 scenario away from gold complete. The last hurdle to gold 1 was wide wall 3 targets. While I did struggle here, we did manage to hit a score of 100, bringing us 3 points short of a gold score. I felt a shift today. Now I don't know if it was going to continue, but I really hoped that it would. I was pretty worried today. I thought I would come on and just regress to a couple days ago and not be able to see any improvements, or just get totally stuck and bogged down. And it really felt like that was going to be the case for a while. After about an hour of bouncing between wide wall 3 targets, 1 wall 4 targets small, and ground plaza, we finally saw some improvement. I hit a new personal best of 84 on 1 wall 4 targets small, bringing the score of that scenario up to silver, and bringing our overall score up to silver 2. A few runs in and I managed to hit my second platinum score of this challenge, hitting an 872.7 point run on ground plaza. Directly after that, I managed to hit gold on wide wall 3 targets, bringing us up to gold 1 overall. So after this, I decided to chase silver on every other category that I haven't reached it on yet. And to start this off, I decided to play Smoothbot for the rest of the night. And while I didn't see a rank increase, this is what I did see. 1973, I think I am just short of my PB with that one. 1977. In the same decade though. 2007, my first year of high school. 2010, the year I ended high school. And for tonight, I was thinking Halo, honestly. But if you're really dead set on wanting to watch Battlefield, I can do Battlefield. 2042. Shit. Coming into the last day, I was pretty upset that I wasn't going to be able to reach my initial goal of gold complete. But I did have a real hunger to finally hit silver on all those scenarios that I was missing. Only having 3 scenarios to go, I didn't think this would be too difficult. But unfortunately, Smoothbot was one of them. I started off with passive, and as time went on, I started to get really concerned that I wasn't going to be able to hit silver. Then all of a sudden, I hit a 50-point run, sending me over the requirements for silver, and getting me one step closer to my new goal. Next up was 6-sphere hipfire. Surprisingly, the scenario that I had the most trouble with out of all of the static scenarios. A handful of runs later, and I managed to hit a score of 112, pushing us into silver. This makes both my dynamic clicking and my static clicking silver complete overall. Next up was Smoothbot, and with the incremental improvements that I made yesterday, I was determined to finally hit that 2100 point mark and finally get it to silver. But unfortunately, that wasn't in the cards.
Enemies down!
In the end, we managed to hit silver 2 with a gold 1 cap and a couple platinum scores as the cherries on top. I'm pretty happy with these results, even though I wasn't able to reach my initial goal. And I really didn't feel like continuing when I realized that I wasn't going to reach that initial goal. But I'm glad that I stuck with it. I was able to push through those couple really difficult days and get some really impressive scores, like getting PGTI to gold, or Ground Plaza to platinum, or even Bounce 180 to platinum. While I do think this did wonders for my smoothness with my wrist, fingers and hands, I realized that there is another issue that I have now that I've returned to my old sensitivity. I have an issue with not using the entire mouse pad efficiently. So stay tuned, because in 2 weeks, I'm going to release a video of me using 100 centimeters per 360 and see if that helps with that specific issue.